That's not the sidewalk. This plant owns all the way to where those trucks are parked.
How come there's houses that are down there?
Because that's other private property. Cut the camera off.
I'm not gonna cut it off. You're in my face. Do not touch me, dude.
I'm not touching you.
Do not touch me.
I'm putting my hand right in front of that camera.
Back off.
Join us on the US Good Cops YouTube channel to accompany us on a journey of sharing information and fostering understanding about how good cops save citizens from uninformed workers. Subscribe now to stay tuned for quality and engaging videos. Don't forget to like, share, and encourage your friends to join in as we build a supportive and positive community together. Be a part of the positive change. In 2021, a guy named Mr. Pepperoni, who's into First Amendment auditing, started recording video from a sidewalk right outside Suleman Incorporation in Bethune, South Carolina. After shooting footage of the property for a bit, he got approached by a security guard in uniform.
I would suggest you put that camera away and you need to move on down because I got people complaining. Sir, I need you to move off the premises or I'm gonna have to call somebody. You cannot be on the premises. Videotape. Sir, I need for you to leave off the property now. Because you cannot be recording out here. Move it on down the road. I don't know what he's doing. He won't get in there.
Sir, you got to cut that camera off.
What do you say you're doing?
You got to cut that camera off now. You're on private property. You got to cut that camera off and you got to leave.
First of all, this is a sidewalk. This is not private property.
That's not the sidewalk. This plant owns all the way to where those trucks are parked.
How come there's houses that are down there?
Because that's other private property. Cut the camera off
I'm
now.
not gonna cut it off. You're in my face. Do not touch me, dude.
I'm not touching
Do
you.
not touch me.
I'm putting my
Back
hand
off.
right in front of that camera.
Back off.
You are trespassing.
Let me ask you something. Where are the trespassing signs?
We don't need them.
Where are the Do
You
not
don't have
come
to
near me.
have-
You need to back off.
You do not have to have a trespassing
I'll have a
sign.
civil conversation, but you tell this maniac to back off.
Well, first of all, we're not going to do name calling.
Okay, he does not need to be get up in my face.
He's not a maniac. He's not a man. But you cannot record here because this is private property. Police are on the way.
Can you please show me where the trespassing is?
We don't have to show
have to
you.
show you.
Do
South
not come near me.
Carolina says private property is private property. We do not have to.
In South Carolina, a person is saying that just because there are no private property signs doesn't mean you can ignore trespassing laws. These laws, detailed in Section 1611-620 of the South Carolina Code of Law, can penalize someone with a fine or imprisonment for entering someone else's property without permission, even if there are no trespassing signs. The situation involves Mr. Pepperoni filming on a sidewalk in Kershaw County, which a survey shows is on private property rented by a corporation. The absence of a nearby publicly owned sidewalk makes it tricky to determine if Mr. Pepperoni had the right to film there, treating it like a public space. There's a legal history that not all sidewalks are treated the same under the First Amendment. Some court cases like United States v. Conquita in 1990 and Greer v. Spock in 1976 distinguish between sidewalks based on their use. The Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals in United Church of Christ v. Gateway Economic Development Corp. of Greater Cleveland in 2004 stresses that whether a sidewalk is considered a public space depends on the specific circumstances, considering factors like its connection to publicly owned sidewalks and how people typically use it. Just because there's no nearby public sidewalk doesn't automatically mean that the private sidewalk isn't a public space. Although, a thorough analysis of all the relevant facts is needed.
What is your reason for recording?
I'm out in public right now. I'm doing a documentary on your facility.
What authorization?
I don't need authorization.
Yes, you do.
It's called the First Amendment,
Yes,
sir.
you do.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. It's called the First Amendment. Have
This
you ever
is
heard of freedom
private
of
property.
press? freedom of press. Have you ever heard of that?
Who do you work for?
I don't answer those type of questions.
Well, you have to leave.
Then you got to leave.
Well,
First
I
off,
gotta
you
know
get
what you're doing.
if you get authorization from plant.
I don't need authorization.
Yes,
you
you
need
do.
to be quiet. I don't need no
No,
authorization
I have the
to
right.
be out in public
I have the
and
right.
record.
My First Amendment right says I have a right to my opinion and to voice my opinion.
And I have the right to voice my opinion and stand on a public sidewalk and record whatever I can see in public.
Get him, Rodney.
Could we go over this sign real quick? Yeah, right here, buddy. You don't own this.
You have to talk to the
Right there.
So
That's proof right there.
My question is,
You guys are just...
The situation is about figuring out if a street, marked by a city sign, is owned by the government and is open to the public. The South Carolina Department of Transportation Manual says that public rights of way can be established in different ways, like getting property titles or easements. The government might buy part of the land or get an easement to use the road without owning it. Contrary to what Mr. Pepperoni says, having a government sign doesn't automatically mean the government owns it or that the public can use it. Courts consistently say that streets, whether owned by the government or private entities, are considered public spaces for free speech. Legal cases like Hogg versus Committee for Industrial Organization in 1939, Frisbee versus Schultz in 1988, and Brindley versus City of Memphis in 2019 show that a street keeps its public status based on how it looks and functions, not just who owns it. So Mr. Pepperoni likely has the right to film on the state-owned street and a surrounding area, and possibly even if it were privately owned according to these legal principles.
How you doing?
I'd like to know why I've been threatened with trespass when I'm on public property.
You shouldn't have been. I apologize.
Could I show you something?
Sure.
Thank you. I was trying to explain to these guys, first of all, let me point out that short guy with the blue pants and the gray shirt. He threatened me multiple times and got in my face.
No. Nobody threatened you. Y'all go on. Nobody threatened you. Y'all go do your job.
Come check this out.
Go on. We got the police coming.
It's okay, this guy's being reasonable. He's willing to listen to me. This right here
Yeah.
is SC dot, which means it's owned by the city.
Yep.
I'm not trying to go on
No,
your property.
I got you.
I don't plan on it.
As long as you stay out here,
Yeah.
they will stay in there. Okay.
I appreciate it, man.
That's your rights.
Could I get your name?
Robert Brown.
I'm Joshua.
I'm the safety manager.
You're probably the best guy out here.
Well,
You're awesome, man. Thank you for calming that situation down. It got really
yeah,
wild.
when they called me, I knew this was gonna blow up. So,
Yeah.
all right, guy.
Thanks, man.
Just respect our privacy,
Yeah,
our property, and we'll respect yours.
They called, so I'm just gonna wait.
that's fine.
I'll let the cops know. I talked to.
I'll hang out with you.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool, man.
Yeah. As long as you're over here, and
Yeah.
I'll keep them over there. People just they have no idea what our rights are and are not
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
So I think everyone needs to take a minute and read the laws, read your rights, read your Constitution, because there's a whole lot of stuff in there that people don't know. There's a whole lot of stuff that people think's in there that's not.
Exactly.
So that's why we have leadership, and that's why we're here.
You can clearly
Nobody that was over here is in leadership here.
Yeah, and no worries on that, man.
And so, if I'm going to be safety, if I'm going to be security, then I've got to know what I'm doing. Or
That's
I'm not
100%,
doing
man.
anybody any justice. So.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
I saw it too, but a lot of the folks were saying that you're recording folks inside their vehicles and their tag plates too. So that's kind of against the law.
So let me clarify this. When he's filming everyone, he's filming it from public property. When he's filming them, they're on public property. Once they cross that line, that's a different story.
Okay, so
but that's within his constitutional right.
Okay, so when I crossed that line, when I was coming in right here, the camera's in my car. So when I crossed that line, he still was filming because I looked at my.
Were you standing on public property
That's
or
still
on
on
our
public property?
He's still on public property.
Yeah.
Even with the license plates and everything.
In this situation, Mr. Brown and Mr. Pepperoni are waiting for the cops, while a worker questions whether it's legal for Mr. Pepperoni to film on private property. Mr. Pepperoni argues that he has the right to film anything he can see from public property. The legal background involves the First Amendment's protection for communicative photography, as confirmed by the Supreme Court in cases like Texas versus Johnson. Recent legal decisions, such as Burns versus Town of Palm Beach, recognize the value of photography, but make a distinction between photos taken for communication purposes and those taken for private or recreational reasons. Despite these nuances, communicative photography is consistently seen as protected expression. The right to film in public is supported by Supreme Court decisions, stressing the lack of a reasonable expectation of privacy in public spaces, as shown in Cohen v. California. Applying this legal framework to Mr. Pepperoni's documentary filming, it is likely that the court would uphold his right to film anything visible from a public viewpoint, including license plates on private property.
Public.
Anything you can see in public.
Hey man,
Hey, what's going on?
I came out here, I got a phone call a while ago. This gentleman was out here filming.
Okay.
Some guys come out and was confronted and asked what was going on. Me being familiar with these types of situations, I came out and de-escalated the situation. Basically, he's not on our property, he's on public property,
Right.
and so everything.
Yeah.
Mr. Pepperoni, a guy filming stuff, had his camera die while dealing with Soman Incorporation workers and cops. Despite a good chat with a random person, the Soman workers don't get the First Amendment and property rights, risking legal trouble for their company. Mr. Brown, the boss, gets props for calming things down, saying sorry, and respecting constitutional rights. Mr. Pepperoni stayed cool and had a good talk, and stressed the importance of knowing the rules in public filming situations. Despite legal complications, they worked things out peacefully, showing that knowing your rights is crucial for both regular folks and companies. Join us on the US Good Cops YouTube channel to follow the compelling story of good-hearted cops saving citizens from situations caused by uninformed workers. Subscribe, like, and share the video to spread the message of humanity and justice in the community. You play a crucial role in building a safe and peaceful society. Come along and support us on this journey.